Let's talk Josh Giddey. He's a 6'8" point guard. He's 205 pounds. He played in Australia. Is he a point guard? I don't know. I'm your host, Andrew Schlecht. With me, as always, is the draft guru, Sam Vecenie. Sam, this is a guy that not many have gotten to watch in person, but you have. So just give us as much Giddey as we can handle.
Yeah, so Josh Giddey, very interesting. Played for the Adelaide 36ers this year as a next star, which is the same program in the NBL that LaMelo Ball and RJ Hampton were involved with that last year. Mojave King was also involved this year. He's not declared for this NBA draft. Josh Giddey is the one of the duo that had emerged as a very genuine NBA prospect throughout the course of this year. So you're 100% right. Josh Giddey played point for the Adelaide 36ers this year. He ran the offense, was really effective in doing so. He led the NBL in assists per game this year. Averaged about 11 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists, which you look at those numbers, they stack up like reasonably well to what LaMelo Ball did last year in the same league. And it's easy to get excited about what he's been able to do. On top of that, Josh Giddey is 18 years old. He's exceptionally young. And it's just so easy to imagine him getting better across multiple avenues of his game. I have a couple of worries. I have him as a clear lottery guy, but I'm going to be interested to see how Josh Giddey's game translates to the NBA, because ultimately I'm a bit dubious that he's a point guard, but I am excited anytime that, for instance, if I was drafting, that I'd be able to get a guy that has this kind of exceptional feel for the game into my organization.
Yeah, he throws some passes that very few guys will throw, and he throws them with both hands, like he's an ambidextrous passer. And to me, he fits the modern NBA in that way. A lot of people like to compare him to like a taller Rubio, which is not inaccurate. I would just say one of my favorite things about him is the attitude and the verve that he plays with on the court. It's different. Like it's different than like a Rubio. You're used to kind of this like happy-go-lucky, sweet guy who kind of just floats around the court and is playing. Like Josh Giddey wants to destroy you. Like Josh Giddey plays and knows he's the man. And I think that is there will be interesting dynamics when it comes to Josh Giddey in the NBA. I think from day one he will bring some interesting dynamics, but if he's not a point guard, what do you think he is, and what role do you think he plays?
Yeah, so it's funny. Every time I bring up the name Joe Ingles, Australian people get so mad at me because they want Josh to be a point guard, and throughout every level that he's played in his life, he's been a point guard. So I understand why there'd be some hesitation whenever someone brings up Joe Ingles, because they just haven't played a similar style of game yet, right?
Sure.
And stylistically, there are differences. I do think that in terms of what their NBA role looks like, it will probably be somewhat similar to Joe Ingles. And the reason that I say that is I don't think that Josh has the ball handling ability or the athletic pop yet to consistently gain separation against the elite NBA defenders. I think he needs a bit of an advantage, such as someone coming out heavy to him on a closeout, or something like a stagger ball screen, to be able to get into the paint and break down defenders. Kind of similar to Joe Ingles. Joe Ingles is a really good ball handler and a really good live dribble passer, and sees everything on the court, has exceptional feel for the game. Josh is probably a little bit better of a passer. Joe's obviously a much better shooter than what Josh Giddey is right now. So we'll talk about that in a second. But I think it's more that kind of player, more of like a secondary ball handler, connector, high level intelligence, feel for the game guy. I mean, like, honestly, one of the comparisons that I've heard is Lonzo Ball. I don't mind that. Like, I think it's like somewhat similar to the role that he's going to play in the NBA. And people will be like, Lonzo's more of a point. Sort of. I mean, you look at the way that the Pelicans had success. a lot of it was more with Zion initiating the offense in the half court, kind of running some ball screen actions, either with a spacing guard like JJ Redick or getting him out on an island against the big. I think that you're always going to want a real offensive creator next to Lonzo, in the same way that I think you're going to want a real half-court offensive creator next to a Josh Giddey as well.
Yeah. So one of the big questions is his shot. What do you think of it? Is it something that can be fixed? Is it something that will progress? What's your feel for that?
So one of the themes of these videos that we've been doing is that I tend to bet on guys that have really high level work ethics when it comes to shooting. And Josh Giddey's work ethic, from everyone over here, every source that you talk to in Australia, will just go on about how hard he works, how professional his demeanor is for an 18-year-old, how seriously he takes basketball already at such a young age. So I think he's probably going to be okay as a shooter. I think it's just going to take some time, because everything is a set shot right now. Like, there's no elevation on the shot. He has kind of a weird split-legged finish that, it almost looks off balance at times, but I think he could stand to improve the balance, but I don't want to say that it's totally off balance all the time. There's a lot to improve there. I think that he's going to have to get a little bit more fluid in and out of the shot. I think he's going to have to get a little bit more fluid in the way that he transitions off the catch into the jumper. Going to have to speed up that release, because he really does take a second to kind of get into that shooting motion. But I think at some point he's going to shoot it, because he is a high level worker, and because he does have real touch that he's already displayed with some floaters, with shots around the basket. Like, he might not be a 39 to 40% three-point shooter, but he doesn't have to be effective. He has to be something like 35, 36, 37 at his peak to make it work.
What do you think about the defense? He's obviously has good size, which is great to have if you're going to play multiple positions in the NBA, but do you think he has what it takes to be a good defender at the NBA level?
Yes, but he's not there yet. Again, this is another situation where it's like a yes and, right? I do think Josh Giddey will be a really good defender, because, again, it's hard to find guys who have that genuine basketball genius, right? Just whatever that gene is that these elite level basketball geniuses have, in terms of the way that they process things quickly on the court, in terms of the way that they know basketball, the way they study the game. Look, I think that everyone's kind of different in that regard, but he has that. And I think that he's going to be an excellent team defender at some point. He just needs to work on the fundamentals right now. He's not a great on-ball defender, because he stands pretty high in his stance and can get driven. I'm a little bit worried about the lack of lateral quickness. I don't see him as a guy that you want switching out onto ones regularly. I don't want him guarding ones regularly. But guys 2 through 4, much in the same way that Joe Ingles does, I think he's going to be pretty comfortable guarding those guys. And I think he is going to have the kind of attitude and mentality that doesn't really see him fail on the defensive end of the court. Just because he wants it. He wants his team to win, and he knows that part of his game has to get just a little bit better. And look, some of this stuff sounds a little bit critical, maybe because I've seen him quite a bit now already. And, I think that a lot of it is projection in the case of Josh, but it's projection that's worth undertaking, in my opinion.
Yeah. And this is one of the youngest players in the draft.
Yes.
Which is also important to remember. These guys
and
take time.
Yeah, even with that, he's exceptionally productive as a professional player already.
He had 3 triple doubles this year. Yeah.
Yeah, exceptionally productive player who just has a little bit of room to grow. It just might take a little bit of time, and that's okay. But yeah, in the case of Giddey, I think he's going to be a really, really good starting quality NBA player at some point.
So let's talk range with him. He's a part of this mishmashy group that goes from 7 to about 17, where I have no clue what the order will be. You can sit here and come up with it. It's almost like winning the lottery. If you can come up with that combination before then, like, you should win some kind of prize, because I have no idea what it's going to look like. Where do you think people will start to consider him? And then let's try to figure out maybe where his floor would be with regards to falling in this draft.
Look, I think the range is somewhere number 7 to number 13, like right in that range. I think the Warriors will start to consider him. I think the Magic will consider him. He'll get all the way down into the Spurs and the Pacers range. I think I would be surprised. I would definitely be surprised if he got beyond the Warriors' second pick, because Steve Kerr just loves these guys that are such high IQ guys that just think the game at such an exceptionally high clip. I would be staggered if he got beyond the Warriors at 14. I think he goes before that. I think that the Pacers make a lot of sense. I think the Spurs make a lot of sense. I think that you could make a case for the Pelicans. Just if they lose Lonzo Ball, this would be a ready-made replacement on a rookie-scale deal for Lonzo Ball.
Sure.
So, I think there are a few different spots that make a whole lot of sense, and I think there are a few different. There are just too many spots in that 7 to 13 range to where you can sell yourself on him falling within that kind of threshold.